When I think of my nostalgia for Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, I remember only getting into it because of the amount of voice acting it had. It was a requirement to even start the game, and once I got my hands on it, I had a great time. And after rewatching my playthrough, I've decided to place it ahead of The Legend of Dragoon. Here's why. While playing through the game, there was certainly an allure to the experience I was having. I opted to play on the hardest difficulty and even scaled the enemy levels to match mine. Despite that though, struggle was not a commonplace for me as far as the combat was concerned. Navigating through the various maps caused me to encounter a lot of cool aspects and overall be a part of some of the large highlights of the game, that being side quests. It was fascinating to make choices and see those decisions play out in positive and negative ways. One of the reasons this was very successful was the voice acting. Even though it didn't encompass every line of text that dealt with characters or narration, it was enough to push the experience into a positive one. Character interactions were that much more interesting, and characters like Takahu or Seraphim were a treat to listen to. Jyoti even got to the point where she got on my nerves and I kicked her out of my party. On the combat side of things, I overall enjoyed it. It had its hectic moments and I put myself in plenty of situations that weren't to my advantage. Even with that, I still felt that I could overcome all the challenges in front of me, and in the case of Console Haunt, come back to it later. The large challenge was the characters and how they interacted with fights. In many instances, party members would run off to do something boneheaded, which in turn caused a cascade of issues that became difficult to overcome. Characters like my priest would just cast defense spells on one target when it could be on multiple targets, or waste healing spells on summons that are low on HP. The lack of a hold position button also created issues where enemies could exploit minor and major character movements, causing my back line members to take unnecessary damage. Overall, I thought the game was fantastic and enjoyed it a great deal when giving my thoughts. The story was likely the biggest point of contention, as it was very short and relied on side quests to bolster the game. I also found the loot of the game to not be as rewarding as I wished it was, as upgrades were infrequent. For the rewatch, I wasn't as interested or enraptured as my past self. I can definitely say that I wasn't bored, but it felt very slow going and I didn't feel invested in the moment-to-moment gameplay. Even with that issue, I still found myself enjoying times where there was one continuous related event happening back to back. Quests like sneaking into Archimir's mansion really brought out the fun and interesting aspects the game had to offer. There were difficult fights, interactions with various NPCs, and even consequences for my looting of his mansion. These grabbed my attention largely due to the lack of other aspects interrupting them, as there's so much to do and interact with. Based on memory, I ranked Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire at 41 out of 117, and finding a place for it now is a bit of a head-scratcher. Despite not being as compelled or interested during the rewatch, I was very much invested in everything that was going on when I was playing it. So much so that my past self spent approximately 5 hours fighting and preparing for the Console Haunt fight. In the grand scheme of things, I think Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire comes ahead of The Legend of Dragoon. I think its biggest competitor is Deus Ex Mankind Divided in terms of the shortness of the story and enjoyability of the gameplay. Where Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire comes ahead is its attention to detail and overall expansiveness. I explored so little and still had a ton of side quests left unfinished, and this coupled with its fun combat places ahead of Legend of Dragoon.